All right, good afternoon, everybody, or I should say good evening. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with the Fantasy Football Live Wednesday, already Wednesday, and tomorrow we have the first game of Week 13, which is a pivotal week for everybody in fantasy football in terms of clinching a playoff spot, maybe clinching a first-round bye. Certainly, a lot at stake this week, and certainly there's also a lot of injuries that we need to discuss today. First injury report came out, and there's big names that are on the list that did not practice today, such as Christian McCaffrey. Lamar Jackson is also limited with a quad injury. So there's a lot to get to there. And also today, I wanted to discuss defenses, streaming defenses for the fantasy football playoff weeks, because there's some teams that stand out to me that could be available on your league waiver wire. You should probably make a proactive move in terms of getting these defenses on your team so you have them for the fantasy football playoffs. And as always, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. Also bop the like button because that helps with the indexing for the show. So certainly a busy program tonight. And of course, put your questions in the chat like always, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. So Fran is up first. I have Minnesota defense. Should I pick up Pittsburgh defense and drop Minnesota? No, you got to hold on to Minnesota's defense, Fran, and I'll explain why in a second. M. John, how you doing? Randy Miller, any concern about CMC? Yes, and I guess that's a good place to start. Carlo, how you doing? So Christian McCaffrey did not practice today. So, he has a knee irritation, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. And, given the injury history of McCaffrey, there's at least some cause for concern. Now, however, this could just simply be a maintenance day, a veteran's rest day, if you will. So I'm not concerned yet about McCaffrey. I know I said on yesterday's show that if he did not practice at all today, I'd be more concerned than if he was limited. Yes, he did not practice, but I'm going to wait until tomorrow before I overreact on this because, like I said, McCaffrey's, he's not old, but he's getting a little bit up there in age for a running back, and Shanahan certainly knows this. So a rest day, especially since he's got a little bit of a knee irritation, is not the worst idea in the world. However, tomorrow, if McCaffrey is limited or doesn't practice again, then I'm definitely going to be nervous. So Jordan Mason was the guy that you should have picked up off waivers right behind Zonovan Knight. I said on yesterday's show that Zonovan Knight was the top guy that I would add, and that was reaffirmed today. Robert Saleh spoke to the media and said Zonovan Knight is going to get a decent amount of touches again this week. And then Jordan Mason, I thought, was the second guy that should have been picked up off waivers just because, Elijah Mitchell, before he re-injured his MCL, was getting a solid amount of work as the backup spelling McCaffrey. And I think that's what is in line for Jordan Mason going forward. Start 1/2 PPR must win for the playoffs, Sutton or Mike Evans. I got to go Mike Evans. I just can't do anything with the Denver Broncos. And Lawrence or Cousins. That's a tough one. I guess Lawrence slightly just because he's got some running potential. Mike Evans versus Marshall Lattimore never ends well. Yes, it doesn't. You're right. I don't know if Lattimore's playing though. I thought he was injured. I will admit I'm not as keen on the defensive injuries. I thought Marshall Lattimore was injured and not playing. So somebody can check on that. Our Jets and Patriots defense are my favorites. Both of them are good. I like the Jets the best. Robert Saleh, Carlo, he's done a good job this year. I was a little lukewarm on him at first, but I've come around on him. Hey, JL, drop Pat Steve, put claims for Browns first and Ravens second. Ravens got a good playoff schedule. Got Ravens. It felt better than getting Browns. Thoughts maybe Texans come to play versus Deshaun. The Texans are going to lay down the rest of the season. They're not going to play against anybody. I hate to say it, but I do like the Ravens defense. I'm going to get into the defense in terms of the fantasy playoffs, proactive moves you can make now to get these defenses on your team for the fantasy weeks. I'll talk about that soon. Davis Price, the lead back if McCaffrey's out. No, I think it's going to be Mason. I know they're invested in Price, but I think Mason would get the majority of carries with Price sprinkled in. I have to bench Pierce this weekend. Yeah, Carly, have no choice. You got to bench Pierce, 100%. So, again, we'll watch with McCaffrey. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But he's certainly right at the top of the list in terms of guys I'm going to watch for tomorrow. So Mike Williams did not practice. He re-aggravated the ankle sprain week 11. He sat out week 12. Brandon Staley has said he doesn't think it's serious, but it doesn't look like, if he can't get into a practice by Friday, obviously Mike Williams is not going to play. He didn't practice on Wednesday. I don't think Mike Williams is going to play. So if you have Josh Palmer, you could use Josh Palmer for another week. This Chargers passing offense is really starting to come around now. Justin Herbert looks great. This is the best he's looked all season. And even with Williams out, Palmer and Keenan Allen together with Gerald Everett and Austin Eckler out of the backfield, that's a lot of weapons for Herbert to continue his run. I'm waiting to see what happens with Warren, Najee. Yes, Warren was full practice today. Yes, so Najee Harris did not practice. Warren was cleared. It really was a glorified walkthrough, though, since they just played on Monday. I think tomorrow we'll tell more of the story about what the deal is with Najee Harris. But we were told that it was not a serious injury. So Najee Harris does have a chance to play. So all the Jaylen Warren owners out there, I wouldn't get too excited yet. And even if Harris is out, I think that Benny Snell, as good as he looked, and he did look good against the Colts, I think Benny Snell might work in tandem with Jaylen Warren this week if Najee Harris were to sit out. Raheem Mostert was limited Wednesday. This is a revenge game for him. So the Dolphins and Mostert are going to do everything they can to make sure he plays against the 49ers. And if he does suit up, it's not a great matchup for him or Jaylen Warren. Jeff Wilson. I wouldn't start either one of them, honestly. If you have a solid alternative to both Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, I would go with that because, you saw what the 49ers did last week to Alvin Kamara. They are an absolutely dominant defensive line, defense altogether. This is a team that looks like they could be Super Bowl bound. I would not start any of these Miami backs in this game. Tua Tagovailoa popped up on the injury chart with an ankle injury, but he was a full participant Wednesday, so no issues there. Watson or Palmer looks better this week. Palmer. I'm going to go Palmer just because Aaron Rodgers is really banged up. I traded Kyler and Jamal for Deshaun Watson, James Conner. I have Swift. I know it's risky, but I've needed a running back for the playoffs. So you traded Jamal Williams and Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I'm fine with that move. But Connor's not playing this week. So that, I don't know if you did it for this week, but he's not playing this week. All right. Who should I start? Gabe Davis or Isaiah McKenzie? I'm going to go Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie was fantastic on Thanksgiving. I told you guys all season McKenzie was going to be a thing. It took a little longer than I thought, but working out of the slot, Allen looks for him a lot, especially with his elbow now being an issue. Throwing far down the field, which is where Gabe Davis makes hay, might be a problem for Allen with the elbow. Shorter throws to Isaiah McKenzie, maybe not as stressful on the elbow. Hi, Death Lord. How you doing? I do like Carlo. I do like Isaiah McKenzie this week. Got both Jamar and Mixon in a must-win game. What are you guys hearing about their availability? So Jamar Chase spoke at the media today, and he said that he feels that he's going to return this week and that he can give them some reps. So what does that mean, give him some reps? Was he talking about practice? Was he talking about the games? Because if he's only talking about limited reps in the game, you may have to make a hard decision here. Again, a hip injury is a very serious injury for a player. And, I'm really surprised that he's coming back at all. I thought he was going to be out for the season when this first came down. There was talk that he could be out for the season, but he's going to return this week. It's just a matter of how much is he going to play. They have Tyler Boyd. Even though he's struggling, they have T. Higgins, who's been great. Hayden Hurst has done a good job. They have weapons. They don't really need Chase on an every down basis. I think, he got in a limited work today. If he doesn't practice, if he doesn't get a full practice in by Friday, I don't think he's going to play. I think they'll hold him out another week. Like I said, even if he plays, it probably is going to be a limited amount of snaps. Certainly would come in on third down, would absolutely come in the red zone, probably any down that's in the red zone, he would come in. So, I think that's going to be a very tough call. But again, the practices will determine it. I think he's going to be limited tomorrow. Friday will be the telltale sign. Does he get another limited, which would then put him on the wrong side of questionable, or does he get into full practice, which I think puts him on the more positive side of the questionable debate there. Any updates on Josh Jacobs? So Josh Jacobs, I have not gotten an update yet. Obviously, West Coast, they're practicing later. Hopefully during the show, I'll get an update. I don't expect him to practice today, though. Thanks for this info. Biggest fan. NFL Fantasy, thank you. I really appreciate that. And guys, I started working on the NFL prospect book today. So I wrote the intro today. Going to start now that the college football season, for most of the teams is pretty much over. I'm going to start doing the write-ups on the prospects, watching constant film, a lot of games, just, never ending as I put this book together. So I'm looking forward to releasing that at the end of probably sometime in February. Don't know if it'll be the beginning of the end. Go DPJ over Wilson. Yeah, I would go DPJ over Wilson too. I know I missed that. And again, guys, if I missed your question, just post it again or just use the super chat option. The chat's been moving faster and faster the more subscribers I get, which is a good thing. But in terms of answering questions, I might miss some from time to time. Should I start Tua and Kirk? I think you could start both of them. I like Tua better than Kirk, though. You always start Tua. Flex Damian Pierce, Brian Robinson, Rashad White, or Chris Olave in standard, not Pierce. I probably would go Brian Robinson because that's a good matchup against the Giants. So, and he's got decent touchdown potential. Pierce or Pacheco, PPR. Pacheco, I can't get behind Pierce, anybody on this Houston offense. Any update on Josh Allen? Yeah, he's still dealing with it, Death Lord, but he practiced in full again today. So it seems like there's no issue with the elbow. All right, so Devontae Smith popped up on the injury report with a groin injury or a groin issue. I'm not going to call it an injury. I think he'll be fine. And the thing is with Devontae Smith, for 3 games in a row now, he's gotten more targets than A.J. Brown. So, I said earlier in the year after, I think week 6 or 7, I posted a video on both of these guys. They said they're going to trade the high-end targets, week in and week out, just whoever's hot, whoever has the better matchup. I think A.J. Brown is due for a big one. So I think if you're an A.J. Brown owner, I just feel it's coming this week. I think a 20-plus point game is coming this week. It's been too long. When he was with Tennessee, it was like once every 4 games, Brown would go absolute nuclear. And I think we're at that point now. I think it's going to come this week. Kyle Pitts officially having a season-ending surgery. Yeah, Pitts is done. Him and DeAndre Swift have already reserved their spots on the all-bus team that I will be releasing at the end of the season, for sure. Damian Harris has been ruled out. So Ramondre Stevenson's season continues. He's going to have a ton of work in this game. Now, Buffalo, certainly a very tough defense to go against, but they've been battling some injuries on that front. And also, there's been a sickness that's been going through the team. A lot of players have been missing practice. Whatever the sickness is, insert your, whatever you want to put, COVID, flu, whatever it is. We don't hear about COVID anymore magically in the NFL. So, I think that's something that bears watching there. I would do Burrow over Tua because it's going to be an absolute shootout in this game. And that's the shame, too, with Jamar Chase. If he doesn't come back, there's going to be a million passes thrown in this game, both for Burrow and Pat Mahomes. I really feel bad for those people who are going against Mahomes and Burrow this week, especially if you need to clinch to get in, because those guys are both going to put up 30-plus fantasy points, I think, this week. What's your opinion on Justin Fields if he plays? I have Lamar and Geno. I have Lamar also. I'm going Lamar over Fields, even if Fields plays. Very, very high risk of re-injury. I don't like the Denver matchup for Lamar Jackson, but he actually played well last week. Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson dropped a touchdown. Should have been a much better day for Lamar Jackson. He really should have had almost a 40-point day. So I'm going to go Lamar Jackson, just because he has no physical questions right now. Gus or Pacheco? I'm going Pacheco. I think, J.K. Dobbins could return. He practiced today, Terrell. So I don't think Gus is really going to be the guy that's going to have, the carries all to himself there. Happy to have Ramondre Stevenson, 30-plus. Yeah, I love Ramondre Stevenson. I've said it all season. Him and Aaron Jones are 2 of my favorite running backs. Love them. Aaron Jones and Quad. But yeah, I'm not worried, Keenan, about either one of those guys. I think they're both going to play. They've both been on the injury report a lot lately, and they always play. Jelani Woods did not practice with a shoulder or a quad. 8 catches for 98 yards. That was a really impressive game. Didn't really talk about this as much as I probably should have. He's somewhat interesting to me. Like if you're still hurting as a Dallas Goedert owner or a Kyle Pitts owner, I just don't like this Colts offense in general. I just can't get behind anybody besides Jonathan Taylor. And that includes Michael Pittman, even though he had a decent game. Travis Etienne was limited today with his foot injury. Like I said, he was cleared to return last week. I think, as long as it doesn't get worse this week, Etienne will be in there. So that's why I wasn't really big on using a high waiver spot on Jermichael Hasty. So, Etienne should be in there. There is a risk of re-injury, though, with Etienne. And that's the thing, too. Next season, I'm going to tread very carefully with Travis Etienne because of his long injury history. He's that kind of guy like a DeAndre Swift that injuries are always going to crop up. Now, he certainly has more of a workload than DeAndre Swift, but I think Etienne is somebody that we need to be very wary of next season when it comes to what we're willing to pay at the draft table. You think Bills Pats will be close? It's always a generally close game between those two, Randy. Brady or Jimmy G? Brady or Jimmy G? I'm going to go Jimmy G. Miami's defense is not good. So I'm going to go Jimmy G. And Jimmy G's actually been playing pretty well. Pick up Dobbins, McKenzie, or Jordan Mason. Drop any of Hasty. I would drop Hasty for McKenzie or Mason, leaning McKenzie. Treylon or Sutton, PPR. Oh, God. I'm going to have to go Sutton only because Treylon Burks is going to have to deal with either Darius Slay or James Bradbury. Those are two lockdown corners. It's almost unfair. The Eagles have two of the top 5 lockdown corners per Pro Football Focus this season in Darius Slay and James Bradbury. And, you have a rookie in Burks going against 2 veteran shutdown corners. It's not a good matchup for him this week. Do you believe Sauce Gardner hype? Oh, I totally believe the hype. He was my favorite player in the entire draft last season, Sauce Gardner. He's legit. He's real. He's the next Darrelle Revis. Put it in the books. He's going to the Pro Bowl probably this season and for the next 5 or 6 seasons. That's how good he is. And you know what? They all hold. If he gets away with it, great. Fields, T-Law, Watson this week. Lawrence. Fields is too injury risk with the a good chance of re-injury. Watson's got to knock off the cobwebs. And I think the Browns are going to jump out so quickly on the Texans that they're going to run the ball a lot, not need to throw that much, and really just kind of let Watson breathe as he comes back into the game. Elijah Moore or McKenzie. That's tough, Carlo. I'm going to have to go a slight nod to McKenzie just because it looks like Garrett Wilson was the number 1 target for Mike White there. Mike freaking White, that I call him. So DeAndre Swift finally not on the injury report. I don't know what that means. He's a running back 3 this week, in my opinion. He's a flex at best. Like I talked about Kyle Pitts, he's reserved his spot. Talking about DeAndre Swift, he has reserved his spot on the all-bust team this season. Running backs have been a bit of a dime a dozen, Death Lord. You're absolutely right. Kirk or Tua, I'm going Tua every week. He's an MVP candidate. The Dolphins finally have their franchise quarterback. He's legit, folks. What a season he's had. Should I drop P. Ryan for TDP or McKenzie? Listen, I like McKenzie. Been saying that from the beginning. Eagles or Jets the rest of the season. Jets have a really good postseason schedule, so I like the Jets slightly more than the Eagles, though the Eagles are great too. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I thought C.J. Gardner-Johnson was going to be out for the season. I could be wrong. I thought I just saw that before I came on. Listen, we're going to really find out about Sauce Gardner this week against the Minnesota Vikings because he's going to get Justin Jefferson. That's why I did the video this morning about Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen's going to score a touchdown this week. I think he's going to have a big week. Justin Jefferson, what's a bad game for Justin Jefferson? Maybe, 5 catches for 70 yards. And I think Sauce Gardner can do a good job on him. Carr or Watson? I'm going Carr. Can't play Watson off this long laugh. Start Kyron Williams versus Seattle. Listen, the Seattle run defense has been bad all season. This is the time to start Kyron Williams. We've reached a point in the season with the Rams that they have nothing to lose. He led the backfield in touches last week. I think he will do so again this week. Seattle is a very good matchup for him. And I think that you should start Kyron Williams. What'd you hear about Lamar Jackson? So he has a little bit of a quad injury, but Jackson's been beat up. He's had the hip. He's been sick. He's going to play. I'm not worried about Lamar Jackson. Sutton or Zay Jones. Zay Jones was limited with a chest injury today. I do like Zay Jones, better than Sutton. I just don't like anybody on this Denver offense. It's been so bad. Yeah, lacerated kidney. I think he's done for the season. Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Peoples-Jones is now all of a sudden very intriguing. He's going to play the Will Fuller role in this Browns offense. I think the Jets are going to have to throw it maybe a little bit more. So I'd slightly lean to Elijah Moore because he plays in the slot. Peoples-Jones is going to make hay down the field. I'm not sure how much they're going to have to throw it, the Browns against the Texans. Cook or Damian Pierce? Oh, Dalvin Cook for sure. All right, so going through the list here, we talked about – all right, so Hunter Renfrow, Josh McDaniels talked about him today. Not sure whether he's going to play week 14. There's no reason to own Hunter Renfrow. What a bust he's been too, man. He had a good season last year, but outside, of Devontae Adams in the passing game, it's been a mess for the Raiders. Chase Claypool was limited with a knee, so Darnell Mooney's already out for the season. Chase Claypool's got a knee injury. Another reason why you don't want to start Justin Fields this week, even if he does play. There's no reason to do that. Kirk Watts, Saquon Barkley, Warren Knight. Need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. I would say if that's Justin Jefferson, I'm going to go Jefferson. How many receivers do you need? You need 2. So Jefferson and Kirk. And then I'm going to go, Jefferson Watson because they're playing the Bears. And then I'm going to go Saquon, definitely. I'm going to have to go Rashad White and then maybe Kirk for the flex. Plan on starting Mike Williams. I don't think Mike Williams is playing this week. It doesn't look like it. He didn't practice again today. Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, week 15. Is that good enough? Yeah, that's a good core. Kirk has been solid, a little inconsistent. Cooper's been very good. Absolutely very good. Josh Jacobs, I haven't seen anything yet. Higbee or Komet. Got to go Komet. There's nobody else for whoever the quarterback is to throw to. Darren Waller could return week 14. Not holding my breath. Jacoby Myers is listed as questionable against the Bills with his shoulder injury. He said he's going to play. Not a long-term issue, so I think he'll be good to go. The Patriots probably going to try to play ball control to keep the offense off the field, so that means a lot of Ramondre Stevenson runs. So I'm not sure how many targets Myers is going to get. He's been a little bit frustrating to own this season, not just because of getting hurt last week, but hasn't been totally consistent, and we all know he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns either. Matthew Stafford's not playing week 13. That was as per Sean McVay, which we knew about. Aaron Donald's not playing either. So if you have the Rams defense, that is a huge loss, for the Rams there. Deebo Samuel was limited with a quad injury. So, he's been battling hamstrings, quad, you almost can put him in that, maybe not to the extreme of Kadarius Toney, but Samuel always seems to have some sort of soft tissue injury that he's dealing with. We talked about Christian McCaffrey did not practice, certainly scary that he wasn't out there. I think by tomorrow we're going to get a better idea on what the deal is. Start Juju or Zay Jones. I'm going to start Juju. He missed today with an illness. Jerick McKinnon and Kadarius Toney missed today with a hamstring injury. Insert joke here when it comes to Kadarius Toney. Jerick McKinnon has been very disappointing, even in the somewhat limited role he has. I think both him, Toney and McKinnon are drop candidates at this point. Who is Donovan Knight? Hadn't heard much about him. He's a rookie. What team does he play for? He plays for the Jets. Former NC State kid, undrafted. Caught over 20 passes his last 2 seasons in college. Averaged over 5 yards per carry. He's a bruiser. He's not a burner. Likes to run over people. Not going to take it to the house often, but he's going to break tackles. He's going to pick up the tough yards. He's got a little wiggle to his game. He can juke defenders. I liked him coming out of college as a late round guy. I was surprised he wasn't drafted. Like I said, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. And so there is 3 down potential for him. The Jets are still going to use Ty Johnson, who catches the football even better. And, I'm not sure what's going on with James Robinson. I don't think Michael Carter is going to play. He didn't practice today with his low ankle sprain. I don't think Carter's going to play. So that opens up opportunity. And Robert Saleh spoke today how highly he thought of Zonovan Knight's performance last week, and that he expects to give him a decent amount of work again this week. Biggest bust of the season, Kyle Pitts, Jonathan Taylor. I don't think Taylor's been good the last 3 weeks, so I don't think we can call him a disappointment. I'm not sure about a bust. DeAndre Swift has been a bigger bust than Kyle Pitts because he was a late first-round pick. Najee is questionable. Jaylen Warren was a good move. I'm not sure Jaylen Warren's going to get bell cow work, though, just because he's coming back from a hamstring injury. Benny Snell played well, so I'm not sure it's going to be the Jaylen Warren show this week. Jerry Jeudy did not practice with the ankle. The Broncos are a mess. Kendall Hinton, Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson sucks. There's just nothing good to say about this offense right now. It's actually really disturbing how bad this team is. I can't recall a quarterback turning from all pro to complete dog shit from one year to the next as quickly as we've seen with Russell Wilson. Joe Mixon practiced today. He's still in concussion protocol. So that concussion looks like it was probably a little bit worse than initially feared, but he should be good to go for the Chiefs, where the shootout is on tap. We'll get a lot of carries, we'll get a lot of targets. I think he'll be good. David Njoku has a different knee injury now. According to Kevin Stefanski, his status is a little bit iffy for this week. So that's something that we're going to have to monitor there when it comes to the Browns. And Njoku was solid coming back last week, but there's an injury prone tag that I think you can put on Njoku because he's been battling. I'm muted. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm muted. It looks like my connection's pretty good. I'm sorry if it goes in and out. So that happens once in a while because I am in a basement. I'm sorry if I did go out. But any deep sleepers on your mind where it's starting? Deep sleepers this late in the season. Hey, Zonovan Knight is a deep sleeper. Is he a flex in deeper leagues? I think he could be. He's trolling. All right. Well, I don't even know what that name is, but anyway, yeah, no trolling in here, guys. Let's keep it fun. Practice video. I saw Warren taking handoffs from Pickett and Snell was taking handoffs from Trubisky. Yeah, listen, certainly Warren would get the start. But I think Snell, it would probably be a 60-40 arrangement. That's how I would see that. Should I take a chance on Mike White at QB? My starting QB, Kyle Murray's on bye week. I mean, you could, Rico. He played really well. And the thing about Mike White is he gets the ball out quickly. He's got good accuracy. He's very decisive. He spread the ball around. So he's not the worst in super flex leagues if you need him. Who suffers the most on the Cowboys offense if they sign Odell Beckham? Michael Gallup. I think Michael Gallup gets hurt. Dalton Schultz is going to remain possibly still the first read in the red zone. He catches a lot of touchdowns. I think CeeDee Lamb will remain the alpha wide out. We're still waiting for a 90-catch season from CeeDee Lamb. There's a guy in CeeDee Lamb, though, that we all tend to overvalue every season. He provides numbers. He's more low-end wide receiver one, but we all draft him as a high-end wide receiver one. Once Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs went off the board, then we were going CeeDee Lamb before Tyreek Hill this past summer, and that wasn't the right decision. Thanks for the advice. I'll see you more often. Yes, NFL Fantasy, thank you for joining me. Also picked up Zonovan Knight and have a Chase coming back this week. Finally, yeah, again, we don't know how extensive Chase is going to play. That's the only thing. So I'm still looking about Josh Jacobs. I have not seen anything yet about Josh Jacobs. Who would you have, Jameson Williams or Zonovan Knight? I'd rather have Zonovan Knight because, he's showing good potential, and I think that he can contribute both as a runner and a receiver. Do you think Lamar will perform well in the fantasy playoffs? He's got Atlanta week 16, which is a great matchup. I mean, if you're looking for, if you could choose any defense, I think if you had three choices, I think Atlanta would be right near the top. So that's a great matchup. He's got Pittsburgh week 17. So those are two very good matchups. So I think Lamar can do really well in the playoffs. I asked you earlier, but should I drop Greg Dulcich for Cole Kmet? Yeah, I would do that. I don't want anybody on the Broncos, and Kmet really is kind of the last man standing. They have to throw to somebody. So I think Kmet will get a decent amount of work. I have Rachaad White. Should I still play him or go Warren or Knight? I would still go Rachaad White. I have that exact scenario. I have Rachaad White and Zonovan Knight. I'm going to go Rachaad White because I think he's going to still start even if Leonard Fournette. And that's another thing. I didn't see anything about Leonard Fournette today. So not sure what Leonard Fournette's status was this so far today. Thoughts on? But I do think that Rachaad White is going. He had a good day last week, caught 9 passes. Would like to have seen him carry the football a little bit more, but I think he's earned the right to be the guy going forward over Fournette, who looks completely shot. Thoughts on stashing J.K. Dobbins? I don't love him. I don't love him, but he's limited. Anthony doesn't catch a lot of passes, but certainly why not pick him up, see what happens. Best defense to stream: Seahawks or Browns? I would say the Browns. Michael Gallup or Tyler Boyd? Michael Gallup. Until Odell gets there, at least. Is James Robinson worth picking up? No, don't pick up James Robinson. Now, let's get to the defense. So, start looking ahead to weeks 15, 16, and 17 because I know myself this time of the year, I like to plan ahead for the fantasy football playoffs. And in one league, I'm 10-2. I have the bye. That particular team, I have the Dallas defense, which has been phenomenal all season. That Dallas has a fairly good schedule as well in the playoffs. So I don't think I'm going to have to tinker there. But my other team, maybe I might have to do something on defense. So I took it week by week. So in week 15, the Minnesota Vikings play at home against Indy. So that's a good matchup for Minnesota. So Minnesota looks like a good streamer for week 15. New Orleans Saints have the Atlanta Falcons. So Saints defense, I know it's a little bit beat up. They have injuries, But, Atlanta is a plush assignment for a defense. The Washington Commanders, they have first-round picks up and down that defensive line. They get the New York Giants, who may not win another game the rest of the season, and this coming from a Giants fan. And then the Kansas City Chiefs have the Houston Texans. Now, the Chiefs defense is probably already picked up. But I will say the Minnesota Viking defense, I know they've been absolutely singed in the air this season, but check out this playoff schedule. Week 15 for Minnesota, they have the Indianapolis Colts, who've been horrible on offense this season. They have the New York Giants week 16, who've been beyond horrible, no passing game to speak of. And then week 17, they have Green Bay, who at that point will probably be starting Jordan Love. So that's a really good playoff schedule. So if you want to think outside the box, Minnesota's defense, I think, is one that you might want to think about picking up just because of those three matchups. Now, week 16, I already talked about Minnesota. Not as many streamers in week 16. You have Tennessee, though, home. I believe they're home. They're taking on the Houston Texans. So whether they're home or away, the Titans get the Texans. And the Titan defense, their run defense in particular, has been really good. And with the Texans having Dameon Pierce as their best weapon, that is a tailor-made matchup for them there. And then the Baltimore Ravens, like I said, have the Atlanta Falcons week 16, which is another good matchup. Week 17, Kansas City Chiefs. Again, this time they have the Denver Broncos. Tampa Bay, been disappointing as a defense this year, but they get Carolina. Probably Sam Darnold, who, likes to throw a lot of interceptions. Baltimore, again, second time Baltimore appears on this list. They get the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jacksonville, they have Houston week 17. And then again, Minnesota, Green Bay, likely with Jordan Love starting. So Minnesota has three really good matchups in the fantasy football playoffs. Hey, Erwin, how you doing? Kansas City has two. Baltimore has two. So these are teams you have to look at. And I love Tennessee week 16 against the Houston Texans. So make sure you check out those teams, Minnesota and Baltimore and Kansas City, especially as guys that you can as teams that you can pick up for your team defense. The Eagles defense, if you already own them, I know they have a really good schedule in the playoffs as well. And honestly, the whole season, the Eagles defense has been great. Hopefully they sign Odell before fantasy playoffs. He starts dropping at least. It sounds like this mid-December, Ryan, is when Odell's going to be ready to go. What about New England? New England's defense has been, they just got destroyed by Minnesota. Very hit or miss. I think they're going to be, I think they're solid. Don't have their schedule in front of me. But those were the ones that stood out to me in terms of stream. Jalen Moore, running back one. If Najee, no, he's not a running back one. He'll be a running back two in PPR leagues. I don't see him going that high. Thoughts on Buccaneers defense, rest of the season, having both. Death Lord, they do have the one good matchup. Week 17 against Carolina. They're solid. They've lost some players on the defensive line. That's impacted them. I think they're solid but unspectacular. Baltimore has fantastic matchup this week. Yes, against Denver. But offensively, Lamar Jackson, that's not a great matchup because the Denver, say what you will about Denver, the defense has been good. It's actually been really good. So, I think that's a little scary for me as a Lamar Jackson owner. Week 15 for my Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles, they look legit. I still like the 49ers, though, Carlo, to come out of the NFC. How far do you think this team will go in the playoffs? 10-man PPR. Lamar, Watson, good. Running back one, Eckler, Saquon. Wow, that's some combination. Then you have Amon-Ra, Waddle, Kelsey, Hollywood Brown. Geez, Kelsey. I think that team can win it all, Jeff. I think I've said this to you before. I think that team can definitely win it all. That is a stacked team if I've ever seen one. Andrews better go off this. Yeah, Andrews pissed me the hell off last week as, dropping that 5-yard, give me touchdown pass from Lamar Jackson that a 5-year-old could have caught. That was ridiculous. He doesn't look right. I don't know if his shoulder's still bothering him when he extends. Maybe that had something to do with it. But, Mark Andrews hasn't looked right since the injury started cropping up. Lamar's going to run like crazy on the Broncos. I hope so. I definitely hope so. Been very disappointed as Lamar Jackson owner. September was awesome, but since then, not so good. Picked up Steelers against Atlanta. Anybody against Atlanta, Irwin, is good, for sure. And they have him blocking. Yes. Bucker or Folk rest of season. I'd have to say Folk because he can get more opportunities. The problem with Bucker is that the Chiefs are so efficient at scoring touchdowns that he doesn't get as many field goal opportunities as, let's say, Nick Folk. Folk's been really good. So I think he's going to be just fine for kickers. But guys, if you're, private leagues, do away with the kicker. There's no reason to have kickers anymore in fantasy football. It needs to stop, in my opinion, because there's just no rhyme or reason to it. And that's a perfect example right there. Harrison Butker, probably the best kicker outside of Justin Tucker, but he doesn't have a lot of points because he's always kicking extra points, not field goals. James Robinson said he was pissed that he didn't play. Too bad. The team's going to go without him. I don't really even care what James Robinson thinks. Be a team player. You have a team that looks like they're going to go to the playoffs, and you come from one that wasn't going to the playoffs. So that's his problem. Calling it Josh Jacobs' season ending on IR, 100% sure it's partially fully. I haven't seen anything about that. Let me look up Josh Jacobs and Leonard Fournette. I want to see what Leonard Fournette's situation is. I don't know if Jacobs practiced today. Let's see. And guys, again, if I'm missing your questions, just retype it or use the super chat option, because then it gets highlighted and gets pinned and I won't miss it. I don't see anything on Jacobs. Doesn't say anything about practice today so far. All right, let me see. Let me look up Josh Jacobs practice. I know they practice late because of the West Coast. No, it doesn't say anything. It just says that he's not going to be practicing this week as he rests up to possibly play week 13. So nothing on him. Let's look at Leonard Fournette. I hope he didn't practice today. I hate to say that. Buccaneers released information about his injury. I don't know if I think that's clickbait. I don't want to click on that just in case. I see nothing about. So I found something that says on Twitter, Buccaneers released information about Leonard Fournette's injury. That's the headline. And then the web address says girls talking smack. So I'm not sure I really want to click on that. I'm not, I think that might be a trap. Yeah, nothing on Fournette either. So not sure why they didn't any of the beat report. I know Greg Allman is the beat reporter down there. I'm not sure why he didn't release anything. Thoughts on Daniel Bellinger? I have Dulcich when Goddard went down, still holding. Very mediocre option, Bellinger. He'll catch a touchdown here or there, but I'm not using him in fantasy. Think Ryan Suckup will kick a lot of field goals since Saints have a good defense? Yeah, it's possible. Suckup has been pretty busy, so I think that could work, Jeff. I think he probably will be kicking quite a few. Do you like Steelers D versus Atlanta or Packers D versus Bears? 6 and 1, half dozen the other, George. I'm fine with either one. I really don't have a preference. If Trevor Siemian plays, I think slight lean to Green Bay. Rate my team, 12 half man, PPR. Watson, once the rust comes off, good. Running back 1, ETN. I'm a little nervous about him with that foot. JT, excellent. Wide receiver, JJ. Metcalf, Justin Jefferson. Metcalf is a phenomenal twosome there. Mark Andrews, hopefully he comes around, gets out of his little funk. AK's the flex, good. Pacheco, White, JaMychal Hasty. You don't need JaMychal Hasty. And Godwin's on your bench. Yeah, listen, you could even put him in the flex. That's a good team, Michael. I think you're set up pretty good there. After that performance against the Seahawks, Josh Jacobs had to torn his. I don't think so, Death Lord. I think you're panicking just a little bit. I don't think we would have heard about that by now. I think it is criminal that they would you stream a defense over starting Jets? No, you start the Jets no matter what. Jets defense is so good. They're racking up the sacks left and right every week. Will Jacobs return? I don't see anything. Yeah, still nothing on Jacobs. I would imagine they practiced today, right? So let me check Twitter one more time. Sports Edge. Yeah, they still don't have anything. But, I guess we'll have to see. Not sure why no information has come out on that yet. Drop Heineke from Mike White. You think that was a wise move? I felt that Heineke wasn't doing anything for fantasy. Yeah, he's just very mediocre. At least Mike White comes off a 300-yard, 3-touchdown game. So that's something that Heineke, is probably never going to do. Hopefully Andrew put up more points for me again. I drafted him at pick 31. Yeah, listen. The beginning of the season was fine. September was very good for Andrews. He's right there with Travis Kelce, but now Kelce has passed him and opened up quite a lead in terms of their production this season. How do you feel about Snell, Warren, Zonovan Knight? I like Warren a lot. I like Knight. He looks pretty good to me. Snell, not really. I would play both Knight and Warren as a flex this week, but I'm not going to go crazy with either one. Do you think Raiders should bring back Josh Jacobs in the offseason or drop Derek Carr? I think they're going to franchise tag him. If Lamar Jackson doesn't go back to the Ravens, I think he could end up with the Raiders. I really do. That's one team I would look out for along with the Commanders. What do you feel is the most underrated and overrated player? Oh, boy. That's a good question. I have to think about that. Overrated and underrated player. I don't want to look at the chat so nobody skews my thinking there. I mean, Lamar Jackson is sort of overrated because he's just not a passer and he flops in the playoffs. So I think he's overrated, even though I own him in fantasy. I think he's a better fantasy player than a real life quarterback. Who else is overrated? Deebo Samuel is overrated. I think Deebo Samuel is definitely overrated. His touchdown percentage last season was not sustainable. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is underrated. I think Devontae Smith is underrated. I think Aaron Jones is not. I think Dalvin Cook is overrated slightly. I don't know. That's a good one. All right, we have a $9.99 super chat from Keenan. Thank you, Keenan. I really appreciate that. Thoughts on the squad boss rest of season? Deshaun Watson, let me take these one at a time. Thank you again for that generous super chat. Deshaun Watson, I do really like. Once he works off the rust this week, he's going to be phenomenal. I would use him in the playoffs every week. I think he's got Amari Cooper. He's got David Njoku. He's got Donovan Peoples-Jones, Kareem Hunt out of the backfield. He's, Nick Chubb to take the pressure off. He can run. He can throw. I think Watson's phenomenal even next season. I really think I'm going to own Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson. Let everybody else draft Mahomes, Hurts, pay the freight, and I'll let one of those dual threat passing, running quarterbacks drop down to me. I'll take the value. Trevor Lawrence, he's coming around. The light bulb is going off. I think he's really figuring things out now. He's moved away from the Urban Meyer fiasco, and I think he's going to be very good going forward. Saquon Barkley, loved him all season. He's hitting the wall now, unfortunately. And opposing defense are just going to continue to stack the box because it's worked the last 2 weeks as the Giants went 0-2. Jeff Wilson's been good. I've said this multiple times, Keenan. He was arguably the best pickup of the at the trade deadline. Exactly what Miami needed, given Raheem Mostert's injury history. He's been very good. I think he's going to be solid in the playoffs. I guess that means Justin Jefferson, right? He's the best, hands down the best. T. Higgins, I love T. Higgins. I have him on one of my teams. I've been very happy with him. Even if Jamar Chase comes back, he's still going to put up low-end wide receiver 1, borderline high-end wide receiver 2 numbers. Hawkinson has fit in really well with Minnesota. I think with Sauce Gardner covering Justin Jefferson this week, it's going to open up more targets for Hawkinson and Adam Thielen. Olave, love Olave. Guys, I'm an idiot because I was the one who traded Olave straight up for Albert O, the tight end, and this was early. During training camp when it looked like Albert O was going to be a thing and I had no tight end. So I really messed that one up. So I make big mistakes just like everybody else. I really love the future for Olave. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 as soon as next season, and he could be a solid low-end wide receiver 2 the rest of the way. Mike Williams, when he comes back, is A.J. Brown. Alternates good and bad games. Rashad White and Leonard Fournette on your bench. You would play Rashad White over Fournette. Donovan Peoples-Jones, a little too hit or miss for me. But with Deshaun Watson, I think you could stack them together. A.J. Dillon, you're only going to have him until Aaron Jones gets hurt. So, Keenan, it's a solid team. I think you're okay there. Just a little worried about Saquon Barkley the rest of the way. That's really the only concern I have. But you have Mike Williams and you have Chris Olave also as good depth pieces that you can stick in as your flex. All right. So I know a lot of questions went by. I wanted to give him the respect because the $9.99 super chat, again, thank you for that, Keenan. That's a big help for the show because all the money donated. I put right back into the show. Favorite fantasy football going to get paid this off. T. Higgins is going to get paid. Yes, definitely. And favorite fantasy football player right now. My favorite. I love Aaron Jones. Love Aaron Jones. I think he's just a phenomenal player. I love Justin Jefferson. I really like George Kittle. I think he's just a great player. Really hard-nosed, tough blocker, great athlete. I really like watching him play. Those three guys stand out for me. As far as quarterbacks, that's a tougher one. I mean, Mahomes, of course. I just don't like the shenanigans that goes on with his brother and his wife there at the Snapchat and all that other stupid shit that they do. Love Josh Allen. Josh Allen's just fun to watch. Rain, how you doing, buddy? So those guys stand out for me. Choose one. Okay, the chat's really going fast now, guys. I'm sorry. Make sure you keep posting your questions. I hope you had a good day ready for that Bills game tomorrow night. Yeah, so that's another thing, guys. I'm going to be doing the fantasy cast tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So make sure you tune in for the fantasy cast where we'll watch the first half of the game together. I have Jacoby Myers going tomorrow, so I have skin in the game. This is a big my 7-5 team. It's a big week for me. I really do need to win. All right. Would you still sit Barkley for Christian Watson as your flex? I would not sit Barkley. I still got to put Barkley in there. He has the Commanders. He has a history of torching the Commanders. Daniel Jones has a history of beating the Commanders. So this is a good matchup for both Barkley and Daniel Jones. So I'm good using Barkley. And listen, it's not a knock on Barkley. He's been great this season. Tremendous comeback season, but that asinine 35 carry game that he got really put him on a bad path right now, because I think he's beat up from that game. He's dealing with stack boxes on a weekly basis, and I am concerned the rest of the season, but you have to play him for this matchup. I have Aaron Jones as well. Do you start Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers this week? Oh, you got to go Dak. Aaron Rodgers is beat up. I will admire the fact that Aaron Rodgers, keeps playing, even though he's a douchebag. He's a total douchebag. I think the fact that he still is playing is a good thing. All right, $4.99 super chat from Joe Castles. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. I know you've been very supportive of the channel. Means a lot. Scary Terry, Peoples Jones, Elijah Moore, Treylon Burks. I'm not doing Treylon Burks. I can tell you that right now. Or Watson, pick 3. Burks has got Darius Slay or James Bradbury, so he's automatically out for me. So Scary Terry, I'm going with him because the Giants secondary is completely obliterated. Adoree Jackson's still out for multiple weeks because that stupid ass punt return deployment that Brian Daboll, one of the big mistakes he's made this season. So I'm definitely going Scary Terry. I'm going to go Elijah Moore and Watson. So Christian Watson, I assume. Listen, the numbers are phenomenal last 3 weeks, Joe. So we got to keep playing Watson. Elijah Moore was good last week, even though he only had 2 catches. I think they're going to have to pass more in this game to keep up with Minnesota. And Peoples Jones, I've been slow to come around on him. That Mari Cooper's the top dog there. I don't think they're going to throw it a lot against Houston. They're going to kind of wean Watson back into the flow of the offense this week. So they're not going to need to throw as much either. If you're not a Najee owner, and thank you again for the super chat. I really appreciate that. If you're not a Najee owner, got depth at running back. Barkley, ETN, Monty Foreman. Do you stash Warren? I drop Likely, got Engerman. Yeah, you could do that. You don't need Likely. You absolutely should do that, Duvernay. Jets playoff schedule. Would you play Mike White during the playoff schedule? Oh, God. I don't think so. Last time around, he had that big game against Cincinnati, and then when he played against the Buffalo Bills, he threw 4 interceptions. So I'm not sure, opposing defenses will start looking at the film on Mike White. I'm not sure I could trust him in the playoffs. Thank you. Appreciate that. I only asked that because of the matchup that Aaron Rodgers had, but you're right, he's dealing with injuries. Yes. And listen, the Cowboys offense has been so good of late that you have to ride with everybody on Dallas. The one team that I'm 7-5 and I have Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard, and CeeDee Lamb. Now that's not ideal. You really don't want 3 players on one team. That's just how it ended up for me. So it can make it hard for all three guys to accumulate fantasy points. But, at least last week, Schultz and Lamb did well. Pollard only had 8. So that's the only issue that you run in there. But I love watching Dallas's offense. And again, coming from a Giants fan, it's hard to have 3 Dallas Cowboys on your team. Tom Brady is going to leave the Buccaneers and join the Raiders in the offseason because of Josh McDaniels. That could happen. But here's the thing. I forget which teammate it was. I'll look it up right now. Mentioned going back to New England. So, hey, listen, LeBron James went back home to Cleveland. Can Tom Brady go back to New England next year? It's possible. Nothing is out of the realm of possibility. Do you see Lamar left practice today with a quad injury? Also, if he misses this week, would you start Watson or pick up T-Law and stash him? I would do T-Law. He did leave with a quad injury. You're right. Let me look at that now. Let's see. All right, so somebody, Joe Orico, who I know he's a fantasy guru on Twitter, he wrote, is Zonovan Knight going to, and then in quotations he wrote whispers, win us our leagues? Hey, I have him, so that'd be cool. Yeah, let me see about Lamar Jackson. So, what's the write-up here? Illness and a hip injury have landed Jackson on injury report over the last few weeks, but this quad injury appears to be something new. Oh, shit. Jackson reportedly left practice early with the injury, which will make this something to monitor in the days leading up to Ravens Week 13 match with the Broncos. Given the timing of this injury, it'll be interesting to see if Jackson's on the field for Thursday's practice. If he's sidelined, Tyler Huntley may be worth a stash in 2 QB Superflex leagues until we know more. Oh, my God. Well, that just sucks because I have him. I have him in both of my leagues, and I have Justin Fields as the backup. Shit. So now I'm going to have to look to see what's available as insurance now. Seriously though, I really need this. Like I need a nail in the head right now. Hey Salim, how you doing, bud? So I got to see now in my 7-5 league if there's anybody. So Mike Williams did not practice officially today. That just came down the pike. You saying Aaron Rodgers is a dick like? Yeah, he is, Rain. So the Notre Dame kid, that the quarterback, I forgot his name. Oh, DeShone Kizer did an interview yesterday and said when he arrived in Green Bay, the first thing Aaron Rodgers said to him was, "Do you believe 9/11 was legit?" I mean, are we serious? Is he being serious with this? DeShone Kizer swears up and down that's the first interaction he had with Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers said you should look into that. There's a lot of conspiracies around it. If Aaron Rodgers really said that about 9/11, then he's just a complete asshole, first of all, and even more of a douche than anybody could have ever imagined. With the psychedelics, the drugs, and all that other stuff. I'm immunized, all that nonsense. So, look that up. True story. DeShone Kizer did an interview. I don't remember who it was with, but he said that is what was being. That's what his first interaction with Rodgers was. Drops Higbee for Kmet. Yeah, I would do that. Would you stash Jelani Woods over Warren instead of having a monster game last week based on my I guess you could do that. I do like Warren, but it looks like Najee Harris is only going to miss 1 game. Yeah, he is a weirdo, Keenan, 100%. And that is a true story. Look that up. I did not make that up. As a Patriots fan, I know Brady misses Josh McDaniels. He wanted Belichick out. Yeah, it's possible. Josh McDaniels is just a horrible coach. All right, so my other league that I have Lamar Jackson in, Kmet is on the bye next week, yes. So the only quarterbacks that are available, oh, God, this is bad. I'm screwed. So Jacoby Brissett, Matt Ryan, Andy Dalton, Davis Mills, Matthew Stafford, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett. That's it. As far as guys, oh, my God. Jameis Winston, maybe if he starts, Mac Jones. And he's playing – I can't even do Mac Jones because he's playing Buffalo tomorrow. So, man, that's rough. So if Lamar Jackson does miss time – and I will say this about Lamar Jackson. He does usually wind up playing. So that's a big problem for me if that does happen. A.J. Dillon's hurt too. Yeah, but I think it's just they had to put them on the injury. I don't think it's anything serious, both him and Jones. You just maybe lose complete respect for that idiot. I don't even know about that guy. Yes, Rain. Definitely, DeShone Kizer said that for sure. And you don't mess about 9/11. You don't mess around with the Holocaust. Kyrie Irving, that whole disaster, that was just ridiculous. That whole thing with Kyrie Irving. Just seen it. Yeah, that was a true story. With Deshaun Watson in the league, I have Lamar Jackson. I should have picked up Deshaun Watson too. I had an opportunity to do that and I didn't. So, 49ers, let's see. This just came down. So, Deebo Samuel's limited. Jimmy Garoppolo full with a knee injury. McCaffrey did not practice with a knee. God, McCaffrey, jeez. You almost made it, dude. You're almost through the whole season. Let's go. Dang, I have Jackson Madley going to pick up Watson. Hey, listen, pick up Watson now. It's not the worst assignment. It's a great assignment going against Houston. I don't think they're going to throw it that much, but I might have to go with Justin Fields against Green Bay. And I don't think they're going to let him run that much either. So, yeah, I'm in a bad spot there. Hasn't one overall pick been so far for Jacksonville? Joe Castle's another super chat. White or Patterson to start? I'd go Rachaad White. I know Patterson was good last week, but I'm still going Rachaad White. Todd Bowles said he's going with the hot hand, so I'm going to take him at his word. Rachaad White was very good last week, so I haven't seen if Leonard Fournette practiced. If anybody could find that for me and let me know, I'd appreciate that. But Joe, again, thank you for another super chat. It really means a lot. I have to win these next 2 weeks to get into the playoffs. Yeah, me too. On my 7-5 team, I definitely need to do that as well. My opponent has both Josh Jacobs and CMC. There's a chance neither one goes against me. Yeah, Death Lord, that would be very beneficial for you if that does happen. I'm not sure. But again, Joe, thank you for that super chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, just picked up Watson. I dropped Foreman, CCs. Yeah, Foreman's been good, but it's really kind of he's been more of a compiler just from all the carries and snaps he's been getting. For sure. Yeah, you guys have been really generous tonight with the super chats. I really appreciate that, guys. And it does help. This is not my main job, but it does help. With my draft guides, printing costs, and things of that nature. So, and also for the channel as well. And time is money. The time I spend doing this. So I definitely really appreciate that, guys. It means a lot. And it's never expected. The streams are always going to be free. I know some of the channels, charge memberships and whatnot. The streams are always going to be free. So don't ever worry about that. Yeah, I still can't find anything about Leonard Fournette. If I assume he didn't practice. So let me type in Leonard Fournette practice. Hot take, Aaron Rodgers is going to retire in the offseason. I'm calling it. I don't think so. I disagreed with you on this yesterday. I don't think he's retiring. He's got way too much money coming to him. I just don't see it. Yeah, there's nothing on Fournette. What's today? Still nothing. Mike Evans been struggling lately. He has a tough matchup this weekend. Yeah, but I thought that Marshawn Lattimore was injured. Let me look that up. Somebody posted that earlier, lacerated kidney. So Marshawn Lattimore, he missed last week, likely to miss another game. So Lattimore is listed as questionable for Sunday's game, isn't expected to play this and keep him out for, assuming Lattimore is inactive. He'll have a chance to make it back for week 13. All right, so it looks like he has a chance to play, and you're right. Mike Evans does not do well against Marshawn Lattimore, so that's not a great matchup for him. And I do think Evans is beat up. I can't wait until the season's over so I can put all of these new commandments together about what we can't do next season. Draft receivers that are 30 or older, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, look what's happened. Draft running backs that are 27 or older, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, take away that 1 week. Mixon hasn't been great. Dalvin Cook, I know his average is good, but it just feels like he hasn't been that great either. Avoiding receivers that have bad quarterbacks, Kyle Pitts, the Treylon Burks to an extent. So that's definitely what I'm going to be looking at for next season. Who would you rather have on your bench, Patterson or Akers? Oh, Patterson, 100%. Akers is done. There's no reason to even have him on your team. I don't know if he's going to go anywhere else, Aaron Rodgers. I don't think anybody wants him, honestly. He looks diminished. He keeps saying stupid shit. I just don't see it. Russell Wilson, the Broncos have no way to get out of that contract. If you guys look at the cap hit, the next 4 seasons, I think, because he signed a 5-year deal, the next 4 seasons for Russell Wilson on the cap is just complete murder. Denver Out of every team in the NFL, other than maybe the Rams because they don't have any draft picks for like the next millennium, the Broncos are in the worst shape of any team in the NFL, but just because of that contract. Russell Wilson, he's completely shot. Hey, man, got two, DPJ or Thielen? Definitely Thielen because Sauce Gardner's going to be on Justin Jefferson, so Thielen's going to get a lot of passes funneled his direction. Kamara or Rashad White? I'm going to go Rashad White. I don't like what Kamara looks like right now. Godwin is coming along. Yeah, Chris Godwin's been great. And this is what he did towards the end of last season before he tore his ACL. He was going ballistic in PPR leagues, putting up insane points on a weekly basis. Brady loves him. I have him in one league that I'm 10-2 in. So he's been phenomenal. I feel like Matt Ryan is done. I agree. I think he's shot. He looked shot on Monday night. It was bad. He's done really good things for me in the past, but I can't get behind him anymore. Start Zay Jones, Devontae Smith, Swift, or Jamal Williams. I got to go Jamal Williams. I got to go Jamal Williams. He scores every week. I drafted Dak in the 8th. Yeah, that's good value. He doesn't run anymore. That's the only thing I don't like about Dak, but the passing offense is so potent that it was really, really good value. Start 2, Palmer, Pacheco, Swift, or Pickens. I'd have to say Palmer and Pacheco. I don't love Pacheco either, but I can't go Swift. He's just not getting enough work. I mean, Justin Jackson is now getting work ahead of him. Pick up Jordan Mason. Yes, Joe, I picked him up in one of my leagues. If McCaffrey doesn't go, you have Jordan Mason against a very forgiving Miami defense. Looks good to me then. Hate watching the NFL anymore because it's turning into flag football. There's some bullshit roughing the passer calls this season. Yes, that's true. It's only getting worse. We're defenders. Yeah. No easy solution to that. For sure. Steven Drake's $1.99 super chat. Thank you, Steven. Need 3, half PPR. Mixon, Stevenson, definitely Stevenson. He's going to go crazy tomorrow. No Damian Harris. Chubb, Damian Pierce. I'm going to go Chubb. Deshaun Watson's return is going to open up running lanes for Nick Chubb from now through the rest of the season because of the threat of Watson now throwing it down the field. Jacoby Brissett does not have that in his arsenal throwing down the field with success. Watson does. It's going to open up space rather for Chubb. And I'm going to go Mixon. Easy Mixon. He's going to get cleared, and there's going to be a lot of passing, a lot of offense in this game, Steve. They're going to break the scoreboard, Cincinnati and Kansas City. So thank you for that super chat, Steve, and I really appreciate that. I know you sent me one yesterday, so I'm very, very thankful for that. Choose one of 3 bad options for my wide receiver 3. Allen Lazard, Jacoby Myers. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. He says he's okay, so he's going to be healthy. Mac Jones does lock into him a lot, so I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. They're going to have to pass to keep up with Buffalo. Crazy thing, I picked up Godwin on waivers. I can't believe that either. I drafted Godwin in both of my leagues because I got him in the 6th round in one, and I believe the 8th round in the other. He was coming off the injury. He had a very, very overly depressed draft market. It was ridiculous. It was a prime buying opportunity. Even if he wound up missing the first month, which he really wound up doing, he should have never came back week 1. Then he injured his hamstring. He wasn't ready. I thought that was foolish by Tampa. But the value that he was supplying and bringing to the draft table during the summer was huge. And it was too good of a buying opportunity to pass up. And so Godwin now, we're seeing wide receiver 1 numbers for a guy that you could have gotten in the 8th round. That is a win all the way around. Cortland Sutton for Zonovan Knight. I like Zonovan Knight more than Sutton. Like I said, I don't want anybody on this Denver offense, whether it's Dulcich, Sutton, who's lost a step. And that's another thing, guys. Possession receivers, Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson, Cortland Sutton, who don't have the speed to separate consistently. Once they lose another step, they're completely shot. All 3 of those guys are shot this season. I'm going to pay very close attention to that next season. If Chase is limited snaps, would you start with Rashad White or Jeff Wilson? Not Jeff Wilson, not against San Francisco. Starting not Rashad White over Chase. I don't know if I would do that, Nigel. Even in limited snaps, there's going to be a lot of passing in that game. I think you still got to go with Chase. I mean to tell you to stop hitting players low and then high, but at the same time, there's no Death Lord. There's no easy way around it. It's very hard now for defensive players when it comes to hitting the quarterback. Trade away Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, and Olave for Eckler and A.J. Brown. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, if you're 10 and Brown and you can 10-2 and you can get Eckler and A.J. Brown, I would definitely do that 100%. All right, we got a $4.99 super chat. Erwin Garcia, thank you again, Erwin. Much appreciated. Definitely, you're very supportive, and I do appreciate that. Need 2 running backs: Monty Patterson, Rashad White, Pierce. I got to go Montgomery. Montgomery's getting a lot of work, and Green Bay's defense has not been good. So I'm definitely going to go Monty, even though I've been lukewarm on him in the past. I can't argue against the extreme work he's been getting. And then I would say Rashad White. Too many mouths to feed in the Atlanta backfield. Plus, you have a mobile quarterback who likes to run it himself. I think Rashad White could still get at least 60% of the snaps, maybe 70% this week. I'm out on Pierce. 2 weeks in a row of duds. Can't do it. So to answer your question, Monty and Rashad White. And 1 wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, Brandon Cooks, not Burks because of Darius Slay and James Bradbury. Palmer. I would go Palmer. I think I would go Palmer. Well, you know what? Garrett Wilson, Minnesota's defense has been terrible. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson just because Minnesota's defense, their passing defense has been absolutely abysmal. Wilson's the real deal. I'm going to go a slight lean to Wilson over Palmer. And honestly, Erwin, you can't go wrong with either guy. So, but again, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thoughts on CMC this week? I think Christian McCaffrey, if he plays, you got to play him, Nigel. There's no doubt about it. So, I think that I'm really curious about tomorrow. If he does not practice tomorrow, the alarm bells are going to go off. Tony Time is dead. Yes, it is dead. Sky Moore, somebody dropped him in one of my leagues. I was thinking of picking him up. He went unclaimed off waivers. He's getting more work. His snap percentage is still very low. I think Macaulay Hardman has a chance to play this week. Actually, no, he doesn't. He's on IR. What am I talking about? So, Juju and Kelsey are going to get the majority of the work. I would pick up Sky Moore. It can't hurt. So, there's nothing to lose. I would do that. Thoughts on Chiefs signing Melvin Gordon? I don't think it hurts Pacheco in the long run. I think with Jerick McKinnon, struggling, and now he's got a hamstring injury, I think it was for depth purposes. Pacheco's been decent. I mean, his average wasn't good last game, but the game before that, he was good. It's definitely worth picking him up, though, to see what happens, because if Pacheco gets injured, then Melvin Gordon, who can catch and run the football on this Chiefs offense, is somebody who has suddenly a solid amount of value. Start Titans D versus Houston or Dallas over Dallas. 100% Titans D. That's not even a question. Week 16, definitely. Yeah, I already talked about that earlier today. Tennessee defense, you got to stash. I came up picking up Rashad White 2 weeks ago. Palmer or Pickens for flex. Yeah, Rashad White was a great pickup. I would do Palmer over Pickens. Palmer's been great every time Mike Williams has been out or Keenan Allen's been out. Dalvin Cook might end up a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, he could. I'm not touching him. I believe he's going to be 28 next year. Derrick Henry's going to be 29. Well, even Austin Eckler is going to be 28. I'm a little worried about that. Saquon Barkley's going to be 27, but he doesn't have the tread on, he's still got decent tread on his tires because he's been so injured. I'm out on Joe Mixon. I'm out on Alvin Kamara. You got to be proactive. You got to ignore the name brands. Mixon, Kamara, Cook, Henry. None of those guys are going to be on my teams next year. None of them. Aaron Jones, I'll own him. Saquon Barkley, I'll own him, although I'm not using a 1st-round pick, so I won't get him. If Aaron Jones gets to the 2nd round, I'm all over that. Josh Jacobs, I'm not going to be in on him. I don't pay for guys off career years, and he's going to be a 1st-round pick. Rashad White, if he makes it to round 2, I'm going to be all over that. Even Damian Pierce in round 2, I'd be fine with. Do I drop? Oh, thank you, Erwin. I appreciate that. You're the man, too, for contributing to the super chats. Thank you. Should I drop Antonio Gibson for Corey Davis? No, I wouldn't do that. Hold on to Gibson. He's got a decent role. Felt good about stashing Knight this morning after no one decided to put. Yeah, listen, I picked him up off waivers, too. That was my number 1 waiver claim. Must win week. Having CMC and Chase is annoying. Yeah, I think CMC probably has a better chance of playing than Chase. I kind of feel like Knight can get Breece Hall usage. I think so, too. For some reason, this James Robinson thing is not working out. And, Ty Johnson's really just a 3rd-round back. So I think Zonovan Knight, who can run and catch the football, coaching staff's really happy with him. I think that he's going to be a guy going forward that's going to get more usage than we may think. Isaiah McKenzie, For Titans defense, don't need to start McKenzie. Isaiah McKenzie was really, I don't think you should drop him, Lex. No. If you don't need him, that's fine, but somebody's going to pick him up. You want as many pieces as you can in this Buffalo offense. And I made the point earlier that Josh Allen's bum elbow makes it more comfortable for him to throw short than it would be to throw long. So that's going to hurt Gabe Davis. It's going to help Isaiah McKenzie. Jordan Mason's stash. Yes, he absolutely is a stash. 100%. I picked him up as well. Do I drop James Robinson? Yes. For Jordan Mason? Yes, 100%. How are teams able to sign veteran players to their practice squads? They thought that wasn't allowed. How is it all of a sudden allowed? Examples being Melvin Gordon. No, that is allowed now. That they changed that. I don't know if it was for this season, but that is 100% allowed. Where do you think T-Law is ranked rest of season? Top 10. I think Lawrence is probably in the 11 to 12 range. That's where I would have him. Very intrigued with him next season, definitely. If you can get Lawrence as your backup in single quarterback leagues, you did really well because he could be a QB1, I think. If you can get Deshaun Watson, all right, Kenny Moore will not be playing for the Colts. So if you're an individual defense player, he's not playing. That just came down. What was I saying? Yeah, if you can get Deshaun Watson in like the 5th round and then Trevor Lawrence in like round 7 or 8, I think you did really good. Picked up Jordan Mason. Would you start him if CMC? Yes. Jeff Wilson has a bad matchup against San Francisco. I look what they did to Alvin Kamara. I don't like that matchup for Wilson. And I think Mostert's going to be back too. And they know Mostert's going against his former team. They're going to give him a decent amount of work at Jeff Wilson's expense. So not the best setup for Wilson this week. I kind of hesitate on drafting players to start the season. Yeah, the biggest miss we all had was DeAndre Hopkins because, having to draft a guy and having to wait 6 weeks for him to come back was not something I was interested in doing. But now in hindsight, he's changed the projection of more fantasy leagues than I think anybody else since he's come back. That's how dominant of a wide receiver one he's been. Drop Madison or Kyron for Jordan. No, I wouldn't do that. I like Madison as a handcuff better than Jordan Mason. And Kyron Williams, I think, is going to be the starter the rest of the season. Jordan Mason and Rashad White, Nigel Rashad White. Even if McCaffrey doesn't play, I think Davis Price is going to get some work too for his 49ers. I think Rashad White is the more valuable of the two. I just stashed McKenzie and dropped Claypool. Good move. Claypool's injured too. My opponent has Singletary, and I have McKenzie. Who scores more? I think Singletary. Slightly. I think Singletary because I think Buffalo is going to have the lead in this game, and they're going to run it a little bit more. Wilson's former team also. Yeah, you're right. That's true. But I think it ended. Wilson wanted a trade. So I don't think he has a grudge against the 49ers like Mostert would. So that's just where I'm going with that too. And you're 100% right. I should have mentioned that. Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, Leonard Fournette, geez, and Damian Pierce, pick 2. That's that. You're definitely playing Eckler, not Fournette, not Pierce. I got to go Eckler Barkley because I do like the matchup for Barkley this week. Pick 2, full PPR. It's a 4-man league. That's why it's a 4-man league. I've never even heard of that. Yeah, I mean, Barkley and Eckler, a 4-man league. Like, I hope it's winner take all. Niners defense, familiar with both of Miami backs. Tennis. Yes, true. Yeah, and that's another thing. Carlo made a good point. Definitely a good point there. So, I would trend carefully there. So let me look again. I still haven't seen anything on Josh Jacobs. This is really weird. Josh Jacobs practice. Let's see. There's still 1 hour ago. Free agent. His body may not practice. There's nothing yet on him. Josh Allen elbow is still bothering him. Yeah, I think it's bothering him, but he was really good on Thanksgiving against Minnesota. So the fact that Allen played as well as he did, and yes, he did miss some throws, but the fact that he played as well as he did gives me comfort the rest of the season. It's going to be a 10-man league, but we couldn't get enough people, and we waited till less, so we went with 4 people. Damn, I mean, 6 people dropped out right before the season. I think that's pretty hysterical. The 4-man league. I can't. Thoughts on Pacheco next season? Could he be 3 down back? No. He doesn't catch the football. He's not going to be a 3-down back. Whether they bring back Jerick McKinnon, they might draft somebody else. CEH is not going to be back with that team either. Let me look. Leonard Fournette practice. Still haven't seen anything. Leonard, let's see. Did he return to practice this week? Did Ian Rappaport say anything? Let me look up Ian Rappaport because he's usually got everything. That guy probably has the phone glued to his ear at all times. Jaylen Warren worth picking up? Yes, he is worth picking up. I find it hard to believe that Najee Harris is going to play, but I also find it hard to believe. I don't think Jaylen Warren's going to be a bell cow back. Knight was my first waiver pickup this morning. Yeah, I think Zonovan Knight certainly was worth picking up. The Jets coaching staff seems to be very high on him. So I think that, he's going to get a decent amount of work. And I was really impressed. He had 103 yards total. That was a really good debut. Holding my breath for the Jacobs report with Zamir White on my bench. Yeah. I think that, and Kyle Allen was asked what he'd say to his old Texas A&M teammate Myles Garrett. Be nice to me. That's pretty from the heart there from Kyle Allen. It's not going to be good for him this week for sure. What was I saying? So yeah, Zamir White, that's obviously the handcuff to own. I know Amir Abdullah would play on third downs and catch passes, but Zamir White, I think he had 2 carries for 20 yards. He's got good speed. This Raiders coaching staff, it looked like they were ready to give him decent run to start the season when they let Jacobs play in the Hall of Fame game, but that's neither here nor there now. 4-man league roster, Josh Allen. Oh man, Death Lord. I can't even take this seriously, a 4-man league though. I mean, that's just a ridiculous team that we would all daydream of having. You think Hunter Renfrow will be fan? No, I'm not bothering with Hunter Renfrow at all. Let's see. I don't see anything from Rappaport about Leonard Fournette. So it doesn't look like he's going to be back. Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like he practiced today. So I think we would hear that if he did. Okay, here we go with and let me get this out here. Why is Kyle Allen playing? I don't know. Great question. No reason for Kyle Allen to ever play another down of NFL football. I also have DeAndre Hopkins in my 4-man league. Yeah, I mean, I have DeAndre Hopkins on my bench, obviously, because he's got a bye this week. I am a little bit concerned now with DeAndre Hopkins because Kyler Murray kind of went back to his rapport with Hollywood Brown. Brown had 6 catches. Hopkins had 4. I know Hopkins had the touchdown, but we're not going to see those insane target games that Hopkins had while Hollywood Brown is out, which, that's a bummer. If you're a Hollywood Brown owner, you're excited by how things went in his first game back. If you're a DeAndre Hopkins owner, I think you're a little bit more nervous about how things are going to go. Just got off of work and rewatch. Yeah, Michael, we've been on for, let's see, an hour and 15 minutes. So make sure you go back and watch. We had a lot of good discussions today. Zonovan or Carter going. It looks like Zonovan's going to be the guy. Robert Saleh gushed all over him today during his press conference. Carter did not practice. Of course, we got to check back tomorrow and Friday, but I think Zonovan's going to be the guy. Maybe a 4-man league, but it was an auto draft, so all 4 teams are automatic. Okay, I mean, I guess that's better. Yes, pick him up. He's a good matchup this week. Yes, definitely a good matchup this week for sure. I think, listen, this Jets team is legit, and they had to make the move to Mike White. He's a 5th-round pick. He shows ability to get the ball out quick. He's got good accuracy. Zach Wilson has become an absolute abomination. The butt of all jokes with the MILF hunting in the preseason and, the god-awful game against the Patriots, not taking responsibility. I think if Mike White continues to play well, he has to be the quarterback next year. And while it's going to be hard for, Douglas there, Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, to admit defeat on Zach Wilson, I think he's got no choice to do that if Wilson continues, if Mike White continues to play well. Any update on Justin Fields? He was limited today, Justin Fields. I didn't mention him. He was limited. I think there's a good chance he's going to play. I might be forced to use him if Lamar Jackson is out. Not feeling thrilled about that. I can't. There's a very high chance of Justin Fields getting re-injured, not finishing the game. Not sure how many designed runs he's going to have, and that's part of the appeal of Justin Fields is how many times he runs the football. So I'm a little worried about him. I was so hurt when I lost Brees Hall. I'm currently 8-4 right now. Yeah, 8-4 should be good to get into the playoffs. I think you got to win one of your last 2 games. I'm 10-2 in my 4-man league. I have the best record. Closest to me is like 4 or 6 wins. Yeah, I got it. I have a 10-2 team as well. That's undefeated. That's not undefeated. That's going to get the number 1 seed in the playoffs, which gets me a first round bye. One less week to sweat off of. So I think that's a good thing as well. Yeah, still nothing on. I don't know why there's no. I mean, did the Raiders not practice today? Because there's still nothing. Not enough people are talking about Jaylen Warren's back at practice. Yeah, we're talking about it today. Steelers face one of the worst run defenses in the league in Week 13. Atlanta Falcons. They've allowed 189.3 yards per game on the ground their last 3 games. That's some stat. So yeah, the Falcons have given up almost 190 yards on the ground the last 3 weeks. So that does set up nicely for Jaylen Warren. 9-3 in both my 10-man leagues. Yeah, man, you're off to you have a good thing going, Death Lord. Yeah, still nothing on Austin Eckler currently has 98 targets in 11 games. That's a 16-game pace of 142.5 targets. He has a chance to break Christian McCaffrey's record of 142 in 2019. So they're neck and neck. All right, so Jamar Chase. Here's some more information on Jamar Chase. So he sustained a hairline fracture to his hip against the Saints on the TD in the end zone. Hyperextended knee, and it went up to his hip. Holy shit. The next week before Atlanta game, he couldn't really move. Quote, I was too stiff, so took it easy in practice. Felt a little better by the end of the week. Come Atlanta game, my adrenaline was hyped, and I felt good playing, so he went, scored 2 TDs. Goes down versus Atlanta. I re-aggravated again right before the half. I felt it pop and couldn't really walk, so I sat down. Came back to play the second half. Why? I don't know what's wrong with me. My adrenaline was going, and I just didn't want to come out, and so I stayed in. The Atlanta re-aggravation caused him to get a second opinion. Then they found the fracture, suggested there was a difference of opinion over the seriousness of the labrum. I was getting 2 different sides of it, but it wasn't torn. Spent most of his time at home, streaming video games on crutches. Eventually got back to the facility. Said he took a mental break to get away from football, lean on family, think about big picture. Quote, it reminded me you can't take anything for granted. They thought Tennessee would be first game back, but Chase wasn't comfortable, made the call not to play, thinking about his long-term future, wanted to be 100%. Said he wasn't nervous, but I never really know what's going to be the outcome until playing again. Chase said he's preparing to play versus KC. We're going to see how I feel later in the week, but I'm expecting to take some reps. Reports no pain. Feel great. I have no pain, no feeling right now, and nothing I'm doing, or I wouldn't be practicing. All right, so it looks like he's going to give it a go. So that's what it sounds like. But that's pretty telling. He had a fracture. I said from the beginning, that was a serious injury. For sure. Raiders and Bucks practicing with the Secret Service. Yeah, it looks like it. It helps when you know football. Trust me, I know enough about football to be an ESPN analyst. I guess when you know a lot about football, it benefits the most. Yeah, I mean, you do have to have a knowledge of the game for sure. Can't wait for the upcoming offseason, NFL draft, etc. Who's your top quarterback coming out of college football? I do like CJ Stroud, and I'm going to definitely go heavy into the draft once the NFL season is over. I'm still going to cover fantasy football on a daily basis, the Hot Stove League, any trades, free agent signings, whatnot. I do like Caleb Williams from USC as well. I even like the Kentucky kid. There's a lot of. I'm going to go through a lot of these guys as we head into the offseason. Don't worry, I'm going to have like one video dedicated to each of the prospects. So you're going to be able to use that information too when the season starts for fantasy purposes. Thor differences. ESPN analysts have direct lines with the team, so they do get inside info. I'm 11-1. Wow, my other leagues. I have Jackson, Barkley, Eckler, Godwin, Keenan, Allen, Andrews, C. Watson, Kamara. Yeah, you did really well. No issues about that one. Rise above. True or false? Bo Jackson, greatest athlete and football player of all time. Jim Thorpe, I think, has been considered the greatest athlete of all time. So I think Jim Thorpe is the guy. I'm not old enough to have seen Jim Thorpe, but Bo Jackson is definitely top 5. Deion Sanders, I think, is up there too. I'm trying to think of some others. Bo Jackson's definitely top 5. Jim Thorpe, probably number 1 all time. Barry Sanders, just a phenomenal athlete as well. Yeah, Bo Jackson definitely, and it's a shame too. Anybody that ever played Tecmo Bowl knows how good Bo Jackson was. I mean, he was unbelievable in Tecmo Bowl. You remember that, guys? Jamar scoring 2 TDs at 70%. Can't wait till he could, JL. There's a lot of passes coming up in this game. How would you rate St. Brown if he had a top-tier quarterback? St. Brown would be, if he had a top-tier quarterback, he'd be a top 5-6 guy, 100%. He'd be right behind Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. Dorian Thompson Robinson, I really can't figure out how good he is. Mixed feelings on him. Not very consistent. Like to see a little bit more consistency out of him. Good athlete. I have to delve in a little bit more on his film, but he will, he's got a lot of intangibles you like. He's got a very high upside, but I do think he needs some coaching. A little bit of a project right off the bat. Anyway, I can squeeze in Monty. Came over, shot Olave into my flex. You could, any of those guys, Olave, I like Rashad. I like all those guys. JL, you could put any of them in there. Pissing me off. I wasn't born to see Bo Jackson play. He's probably the only player I would go back in time to watch. But yes, he was that good. He was that good. Hip injury, very serious. Freak in nature, as Rise just said. He was a special athlete. There's no doubt about it. He really was that good. And the fact his career was cut short is a major bummer for anybody who likes football, for sure. So, but anyway, just want to remind those who came in, make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the notification button. I am doing the live fantasy cast tomorrow at 8:00. So make sure you tune in for that. I traded Hopkins for Chase in my other league. That's fine. Hopefully Chase will be good for the playoffs. I think Hopkins, with Hollywood Brown back, may not be as high-end wide receiver 1 as he was while Brown was out. And, Hollywood Brown, they've been using him a lot in the slot. This last game, they used him a lot in the slot, short passes, dump-offs. I think that's more conducive to his skill set, unlike in Baltimore where they tried to make him a downfield threat. Bo Jackson better than Michael Jordan from an athlete perspective. It's hard to compare, players from other sports. Michael Jordan, though, is the single most dominant athlete I've ever seen in my life in any sport. Other than maybe Michael Phelps, because Michael Phelps was probably the most dominant athlete right there with Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan I've ever seen in my life. How often are you live? I'm live pretty much Monday, definitely. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, definitely. And now I've been doing pretty much every day now. No Saturdays. So Saturday is really the only day now I don't do live stream. MJ was one of the greatest athletes. Yeah, he was. Anybody that says LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan is just completely out of their mind. Oh, so another thing I'm going to do, by the way. So I'm really big with the NCAA tournament. I don't know if anybody's into college basketball here, but I won a really big pool last season with Kansas winning it all. I had picked Kansas winning it all, and I had a system that I used that helped me win last season, and then also 3 seasons ago, or was it 4 seasons ago, when Villanova beat Michigan. So I'm going to do videos on that system to help you guys fill out your brackets this year. And I won quite a bit of money in a big pool last season, picking Kansas to win it all. And I think I'm going to do that as well. So if you guys are into that, the gambling aspect of the NCAA tournament, I'll be doing videos on that as well. So that'll be coming in March. It was funny when you did an update video while you were hunting. Yes. Oh my God. That got a lot of attention. I know it looks so fucking stupid. I had to, just because I was literally sitting out in the woods, because I always, in New York here, there's turkey hunting season right before the holiday. And I was trying to get one for Thanksgiving. And I saw the Wilson, I think it was the Zach Wilson video. Right. And I saw the news and I just had to do it right away. The viewers come first. The channel comes first before me hunting anything. And that did get a lot of me and my stupid camouflage. It did get a lot of attention, but yeah, that one was an instant classic for sure. I hate when people say MJ played against weak competition. No, that is laughable. He did not play against weak competition. He was a man among boys, the best basketball player, hands down. Kobe Bryant's the only basketball player that's better than Michael Jordan. No, he's not better than Michael Jordan, Death Lord. He is not anywhere near Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant's a top 10 guy. He's not a top 5 guy. He's definitely not. Top 5 guy is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, not Will Chamberlain. Who's the guy? Bill Russell. That was who I was thinking of. Bill Russell, probably Wilt. I would put Wilt in there as top 5. And, maybe Magic Johnson. I would put all those guys top 5 ahead of Kobe Bryant. Kobe was really, really good. Top 10 guy, don't get me wrong, but he's not better than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the single greatest basketball player of all time. What's the news on Jamar Chase? Just came in. Hey, Ed. Yeah, we're wrapping it up soon. Okay, so the Raiders did release the injury report. Where's Jamar? Okay, they wrote nothing on Josh. Oh, wait, here it is. Josh Jacobs limited with the calf, so he was limited. So we finally got the Josh Jacobs news. He was limited. Larry Bird, top 10. He's not top 5, Death Lord. He's definitely not top 5. Tim Duncan's top 10 too. Jamar Chase says he thinks he can contribute some reps. So that means he's probably going to be on a snap count if he does play. Larry Legend was top 10. You listen, Michael Jordan and LeBron are top 2. Bill Russell has to be 3. Wilt Chamberlain's got to be top 5. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, in my opinion, is probably right there in the top 10. What's his name? The GM there, the basketball logo guy. God, I can't remember. The Lakers guy. Who's the Lakers guy? That's the logo of the NBA. Jerry West. Jerry West is up there too. Bob Cousy, right? Keenan, Jerry West. I can't put Kobe Bryant in the top 5. No way. He made the Lakers, but they were him. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson was more transcendent than Kobe Bryant was. Hakeem is there too. Oh, Kareem. Yes. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's top 5. Kareem absolutely is top 5. College and NBA, he was there for sure. I don't know how we got into the NBA, but this is a fun conversation. Would you play Chase? Yeah, you have to play Chase. Thoughts on streaming Lawrence against the Lions or Jones against Washington? Not Jones. You got to play Lawrence for sure. Shaq is on the border. I think he might be, with David Robinson, Carmelo in the next tier, or he might be, number 10. Triple double guy. Oh, Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson, I like more than Kobe Bryant. Oscar, Wilt, all those, they're top 5. I think Oscar Robertson is top 5. I got to put him in there, maybe even over Wilt. Can I ask why you don't view Kobe Bryant as top 5 NBA player? I think Oscar Robertson was a triple double machine. Michael Jordan, 6 titles. He's the number 1 guy there is. LeBron James did a lot of that on his own. And he's look at how old he is. He averaged 30 points a game last season. Wilt Chamberlain set all kinds of scoring records. Bill Russell won, I think, 11 or 12 NBA titles, was generally considered the greatest player of his generation. So I think Kobe's probably like 7 or 8. He was a great defender, great scorer, but he did get a boost from Shaq. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not to take anything away from him. I just don't think he's top 5. And I think if you generally look at lists that NBA experts put out there for top 10, he's not in the top 5 on almost any of them. The Big O was definitely great. If Lamar is ruled out, would you play Tyler Huntley, Tua, or Jimmy? Tua or Jimmy G. I'm not going to do Tyler Huntley against Denver. Highly recommend Tim Grover's books. You personally coach MJ and Kobe, gives you lots of insight. Yes, and Jeff Pearlman wrote a good book on the Lakers too. Jimmy Johnson's book just came out. I'm going to read that one, and I'm going to review that for you guys. I just ordered it from Amazon. It's coming tomorrow. So Jimmy Johnson's book, really excited to read that one. Can't wait to read that one. And I'm also watching that fantasy football movie on, I'm going to review that and do a video on that one too. It's actually pretty cute. If you have kids, I think you would like it. Mike 3-peated twice. Yes, 100%. Michael Jordan and LeBron are head and shoulders above everybody else. Definitely going wide receiver heavy next year's draft. Running backs. Yes, I'm going wide receiver heavy too next season for sure. Erwin, I don't think Isaiah Thomas is top 10. I think he's like the next 15, with Karl Malone, with Shaq. Would you say at least Kobe Bryant's NBA? Yes. Oh, 100%. He's NBA royalty. Definitely. And there's no doubt about it. I think he's top 10, not top 5, but Michael Jordan and LeBron are the top 2 for sure. All right, guys, I think I'm going to end it here. Great stream today. Really appreciate all the super chats, really all the support. Tomorrow, super fantasy cast at 8 o'clock, maybe 7:30. I might jump on a little bit earlier to discuss the injuries. So make sure you guys tune in for that one. Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Rico. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see all of you tomorrow. Have a great night. Can't wait for the fantasy stream, fantasy cast tomorrow. I will see you all then. Have a good night, everybody.